Hi again, all you fabulous Ford students. Mr. Pierce here. Today I want to talk to you about topographic and weather maps in this video here. What you need to be getting out of this little section is that you should be able to interpret the information on a topographic map, a satellite view, to identify land and erosional features, and you should also be able to predict how these features may be reshaped by weathering. So this here is a topographic map. You see all these lines here. These are what we call contour lines. And these lines are going to show us areas of equal elevation. So we see right here, everything on this line right here is going to be an area at the same height or elevation above sea level. We can find out what our contour interval is, or the change in these lines, by looking for our contour interval on the map. So I have a contour interval on this map of 20, so it means it's a 20-foot difference between this line and this line. So there's 20-foot difference right there. So I'm going up 20 feet in elevation. Now, when I look at a topographic map and I see contour lines that are really close together, this is going to tell me that we are having a steep slope. So the closer the lines get together, the steeper the slope is going to be. Now, as the lines get further apart, the more gentle or the more flat the slope is. Now, when you start seeing a bunch of little rings of topographic of contour lines forming here on this topographic map, what you will know is that that is going to be an indication that you have a hill or mountain. So when you have concentric rings one inside the other, that's going to tell us we have a hill or mountain. So here I look at this topographic map. I have some concentric rings here telling us these are a couple of little hills or mountains right here. And if I look real closely, I'll see that the lines kind of hit this area right here. They fall off. You might not see all this blue to give you an indication, but if you didn't see any more lines, you would assume that this is going to be some sort of island. So this is going to tell us that this right here is our lowest line, lowest point of elevation. That's at 0 feet above sea level. And so since it goes all the way around this island, this area, we know that this is an island. This is actually the big island of Hawaii, and what you have here are two volcanoes. Now, if you look over here, you see this very interesting structure with these contour lines. And they don't really form rings or circles, but you have these parallel lines, one on either side, and this is going to tell you that you have a river or canyon in the area. And this, so you can see this canyon kind of crumples through this land area. Okay, so when you start looking at a topographic map and you wanted to see what other kind of land features there are, one thing you can look for are V's. When you see V shapes, like you see right here at these 3 points, these little sets of V's right here, these are going to indicate that we have a stream or riverbed. Now the V's are always pointing uphill. So if I were to travel from this road, this is a road right here, this way, I am traveling upstream because the V's actually point upstream or uphill. Now when you see these neat, interesting little tick marks next to attached to a contour line, these tick marks are going to indicate that we have something like a depression of some sort. In this case, we might have a sinkhole, or we could even have the caldera of a volcano. So it's actually these tick marks are telling us that the elevation is decreasing instead of increasing. So now let's look at weather maps. And basically a weather map shows the current state of the atmosphere, and it allows us to predict the weather in the future. So here we have a little weather map. We're going to kind of walk through, see some of the features on this one. So you'll see here we have a couple of H's. There's two here, and you probably can't see it because my picture's covering it up, but there's an H way down here. But these H's, notice they're also in blue. These are called high pressure systems. In a high pressure system, the air or barometric pressure is high. And so air is wanting to come out of the high pressure system. And so what we typically have, the kind of weather that's associated with the high pressure system is going to be calm days. So it's going to be sunny and calm with literally no precipitation. The reason for this is the air pressure is high, and what happens is that the surrounding air pressure is lower, and so the air is wanting to come down out of the atmosphere, down and out, and so it actually does not allow clouds to form, because we need to form clouds, we need air rising up. And so you're going to have pretty sunny days and around a high pressure system with very little precipitation, if any. Now, the opposite of that is a low pressure system. And you can see these are marked with little red L's. And the air here, the air pressure is low in a low pressure system. So it's a lower point of air pressure. And we can expect precipitation or clouds, because now we have a low pressure system. Air is going to want to come into the system, and as it does, it's going to rise up into the sky and it's going to form clouds. And so we could expect cloudy weather and possibly some precipitation. Now, some other things that you'll notice on a weather map are different types of fronts. One of the common ones are cold fronts, and you can kind of see some cold fronts here. You'll see they're typically in blue, and they have little itty-bitty triangles hanging off of them. The triangles actually point in the direction the front is moving. So we have a cold front right here. So that tells us, out here in Arkansas, they're about to get some cooler weather coming in. Not necessarily cold, but it's going to be cooler. So, and this is just an area of colder air. We have a colder air mass sitting right in here that is moving into and replacing the warmer air. So the cool air forces the warm air up, and if the warm air has a lot of humidity in it, a lot of moisture in it, we'll probably right around the cold front we'll get a little bit of rain or precipitation of some sort. Now we also have on this map, we have some warm fronts. You can always see those that are red, are typically red, and then you'll see little half circles hanging off of them. That half circles are hanging in the direction that the warm front is moving. So this is a mass of warmer air moving into an area. And so we can see that this warm air coming out of California, Nevada, it's moving up in this direction. We can see kind of another warm air mass right here. And so when the warm air masses come in, the warm air is going to rise up over the colder air, and we can expect overcast skies, lots of clouds, maybe some rains, thunderstorms. Those are kind of some typical things that we'll see around a warm front. Now, right here, you'll see an alternating band of blue with the blue triangles and red with the red circles on it. And they're going in different areas. And what this means is that we've had a warm air mass and a cold air mass. They've come together. We have two different air masses. They've come together and they're pushing on them. They're kind of at a standoff. So the warm air mass isn't really moving into the cold air area, and the cold air is not moving into the warm air. So we have the air masses are kind of staying still. So we call this a stationary front. And they can bring several days of cloudy, wet weather. You'll get lots of drizzles, and they can last for weeks. They might hang out in that area for a very long time. Another thing you might see commonly on a weather map is something called a hurricane. And there are typically some little symbol like this. Hurricanes are large, low-pressure systems that develop over tropic or subtropical waters. And that tropical, warm, moist water actually really fuels a hurricane. And they're going to start developing some circulation in them, so the air is going to start moving around, and they'll produce some really high winds. Now let's look at station models. In a station model, what you'll sometimes see on a weather map is you'll have different cities pointed out, and you'll see these little guys. This is a station model, and it tells the weather at a point on a map at any given moment in time. So lots of different information. I would draw this, write this out, draw an example of what all these things are. But it starts off with the circle. This is going to be right over the city. This circle is going to tell us how much shading it is. It's going to tell us how many clouds it has. So if it's all clear or white, we can see that there's no cloud cover. And the more shading that we get onto it, the more cloud cover we have. Another thing you'll see is this little stick. This little stick hanging off is actually telling us the direction the wind's coming from. And attached to it are what we call flags. And these flags will actually tell us how fast the wind is blowing. So I can look at my key here. I have 2 full flags and a half flag. So I'll come over here, 2 full flags and a half flag. So I got the winds blowing at 26 to 31 miles an hour, and the winds coming out of the northwest. Now, the other thing I will see is I will see the temperature. So here's the current temperature, -2 degrees Celsius. Brr, it's cold. So nice cold weather going on here. And in this case, I also have a little symbol saying what the precipitation is like. Do I have any special weather? So I see this little star-looking thing. Well, gee, that's a little snowflake, see? So it's snowing here. I could have all sorts of symbols. I could have drizzle, fog, hail. You can see them all right there. Then on this side, what I have is I have this number. This is the air pressure at the time. And so air pressure can kind of tell us what kind of systems are moving in. Do we have a low pressure system moving in or a high pressure system moving in? And right below the air pressure is the change. In the last 3 hours, how has the air pressure changed? So if we see the air pressure increasing, we can say, okay, a high pressure system is probably moving in. If we see it starting to decrease, we could say a low pressure system is coming in. Another thing you'll see down here is this little symbol, this little number, and that is going to tell us the dew point. The dew point is the temperature at which the air becomes 100% full of water. It cannot hold any more water in it, and you're going to start forming little bits of condensation on things. So we can see our air temperature is -2, so we're not quite at the dew point yet, but drop another 4 degrees and we'll start forming little drops of dew. Little condensation will start to form. Other things you'll see on here are the different cloud types. We're not going to get too much in the cloud types, but you can see if you have clouds that are way up high in the atmosphere or way down low. So that is topographic maps and weather maps. Thank you very much.